Officially, the Corvette has left me stranded for the first time. Let's go. So just trying to leave work, come to my car, boom, steering column lock. Today, we're gonna be fixing the biggest issue with the C5 generation Corvette. And I've been having this problem for a couple of months now, and it's been really frustrating because I haven't been able to drive this vehicle. Behind me is my 2002 C5 Z06 that I bought at the beginning of this year. But a couple months after I bought this car, I got the horrible message that said pull key, wait 10 seconds, and then I got the message to service my steering column lock. And today we're going to be fixing this issue, installing a module into the car that theoretically should clear all of our errors. But let's talk about why this happens in the first place, a couple of other measures that we can take before coming to this extent, or other options that could possibly fix your Corvette. So for those who do not know, in the early 2000s there was a big issue in these cars for the steering column lock. The reason why this happens in this particular car, from my understanding, is because instead of having an internal column lock, these cars have an external column lock, which has a security system fed into them, which locks the cars, stalls the cars out if you try to drive them, and it's just not a fun time. Plus they have steering column lock relays inside of them and all of those different things. Chevy in the early 2000s actually put a bulletin up for a recall in order to fix the issues, because at the time the owners were having these security problems come up and the columns were locking. Now unfortunately, if your car has had the recall done, Chevy will not do the recall again. And unfortunately, the recalls are failing and will fail, and at some point you will have to install the module into your car. But Chevy's recall does last 10 to 20 years in some cases. Just over time, whatever they did just fails because of age. That is my basic understanding. I don't want to dive into it any further because I'm trying not to get any of my facts wrong. There's a couple of ways to solve the problem if you do have it on the go. Turn your key, shake your steering column at the same time, and it should come undone. Make sure when you turn it off, you pull the key out, because pulling the key out resets the computer, and then put it back in and try shaking the column again. And sometimes the column will come loose and you can simply start the car and drive away. The other way, the first time I actually encountered the problem, I just parked it for a couple of hours, I came back to it, and it was completely fine. You can also try disconnecting the negative battery terminal and hooking it back up. Now to actually permanently fix it, well, luckily there is a community of car enthusiasts and enthusiasts of the C5 generation, and there's plenty of people who own these cars, so someone had to come up with a fix, and the fix is the LMC5. The LMC5 is a module that you're installing into your car. You're moving 3 wires out of your car, you're disconnecting a couple of other things, and you're installing the module into the connectors that go into the BCM. The BCM is located underneath your passenger footwell, and let's talk about the installation process. Step 1 until installation. The biggest thing is your car has to be unlocked before you install this. You can't install it into a car that's been locked. If you turn your key and it says steering column service or pull key, wait 10 seconds, and you shake the column and your column is locked, it's not going to unlock the column. You're simply removing the column lock issues, but it won't unlock the column. Try getting the column loose by the previous methods I mentioned, shaking the column, disconnecting the battery, or simply just waiting. If your column isn't unlocking, you're gonna have to buy the unlocking tool. But if your column is locking like mine was, pull fuse number 26 after you get it unlocked. Pull it right away. This will make sure that the problem doesn't happen. Now, removal of fuse 26 will theoretically fix the problem, but you can't drive the car without that fuse. We disconnect the battery, we locate the BCM, and then at this point, with everything disconnected, we can install fuse number 26 back into it. Next step is to just simply pull the BCM out. So now that the BCM is out, you're going to take out the steering column lock relay, which lives on the top. It's the black on black one. I had a horrible time getting this out. I don't even want to talk about it or just live back. You take the connector out, and now we can move on to the next step. I would like to mention all the instructions that come with the LMC5 are really good. If you're anything like me, I like to take the extra step and watch a video on someone doing it. That way I don't mess anything up. Make sure to subscribe and leave a like on this video so I can make more videos like this to help some of you guys out. After we disconnect the BCM, it's going to be very simple. We're going to follow the instructions and we're going to be disconnecting 3 different wires out of the clip. You're going to use the wire removal tool and basically push into the clip from the other end, and it's going to pop the wire out. Now, after getting all of those wires out, what we're going to be doing is basically installing the LMC5. We're going to put the wires in the appropriate spot that are on the LMC5. We're going to cap the old wires and put it all back together essentially. It comes together really quickly once you get it apart. It should be a 25-minute install. I at this time am going to plead the fifth on how long this took me because I am uncoordinated and can't get relays and wires out of simple things. With all that being said, you want to tuck everything back super nicely, and we're going to install a ground wire, which is the black wire on the LMC5, into the little hole at the very bottom and get everything nice and tucked and nice and clean because you don't want the LMC5 or any of the wires to be bouncing around. You want to make sure everything is secure, and it's a big thing that they are secure, otherwise you can have future problems. Now at this point you should be all good to go. Put the battery back in and turn the car on. Before starting the car, just run it, make sure that all the electronics and everything comes alive, make sure you're not getting the warning, turn it off, turn it back on, turn it off, turn it back on, make sure you're good to go. Start the car, let it run for a few seconds, turn it off, and just kind of see and make sure that you're not having the warning come up. At this point, that's exactly what I did, and my dad took it out for a drive, and then, unfortunately, a couple of hours later, I started to have the same problem. At this time, I'm waiting for a new clip. You guys saw I damaged the clip, and I believe that's the problem that I'm having. That should be the only thing, because theoretically, this should have worked. If it doesn't work, make sure you check fuse number 26. You took it out, make sure it wasn't blown like I said before, but make sure that you put it back in correctly, or make sure you put it back in at all, because if you didn't, then you can have problems. You can have the same problem just come back. You also want to make sure that all the wires seated correctly into the clips, because sometimes that does happen and they don't seat correctly and you can have the same problems like I said before. Now this car is currently sitting still broken, but I'm just going to be waiting for that clip because I think that clip being broken, my clumsiness, as I said before, is the issue why I don't have this car back on the road just yet. It's a very weird issue that Chevy had with these cars. I don't understand some of the things that these older manufacturers did and security system related stuff and everything. I don't think this should have been an issue from the first place. This is one of the dumbest things I've ever had to deal with in a vehicle. With all of that being said, that's honestly all I have for the video. That's the installation, that's kind of why it happened, my experience with it, and well, I'll have the car back on the road, and if it's not the clip and if it was something majorly wrong with something else, there'll be an update. But hopefully there won't be an update. That's all I have for the video. If you guys did enjoy, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below on your experiences and your thoughts about the C5 Corvette, the LMC5, the issues that you had with the cars, etc. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.